Welcome back to the Sunday Talk Show here on the Arise News Channel. I'm Reuben, Abati. Now, before we took that short break, we were looking at the president's speech, but maybe let us listen to a few clips from the speech, and then we go back to our discussion.
Nigerians' unity is settled and not negotiable. We shall not allow irresponsible elements to start trouble, and when things get bad, they run away and settle others with the responsibility of bringing back order, if necessary, with their blood. Every Nigerian has the right to live and pursue his business anywhere in Nigeria without let or hindrance. I am charging the security agencies not to let the successes achieved in the last 18 months be a sign to relax. Terrorists and criminals must be fought and destroyed relentlessly so that the majority of us can live in peace and safety. I am so glad to be home. Thank you, and God bless our dear nation.
You heard him. Terrorists and criminals must be destroyed relentlessly. In that same speech, he talked about Nigeria's unity being settled and not negotiable. He also talked about reinforcing and reinvigorating a lot of government programs. And those who like the speech, that's their point. They say, look, he spoke like a strong man, and that since he returned, the effect of the speech has been that there's been some confidence within the markets, and also the people giving problems already know that the president is back, and if they misbehave, they will be dealt with without any doubt. And he has taken some action since then. He has met with security chiefs. He has met with political leaders on a bipartisan basis. He has met with governors. So the momentum seems to have changed. And some people are saying, truly, the president is back. And that the kind of a gentlemanly approach that they had when Osinbajo was acting, there's now a different kind of rhythm in Aso Villa. Do you think those people also have a point? The people.
Let me tell you, the president is back. There is no doubt about that. But to what effect? Before the president left, what was the rate of the naira to the dollar? What is the rate today? You would agree with me that yes, the president is a very strong man. He's always been a strong man. He's a retired army general. But in his absence, we had a professor of law and a pastor of the Redeemed Christian Church of God. And he's been able to go everywhere in Nigeria, including Maiduguri, where, the terrorists have made their base. And he went there and he came back. There is nothing stronger than being accepted by all. Whether you are PDP, you are APC, and the effect on the market. Maybe when Priska comes later, she'll be able to tell us if in the last few days that the president has returned, that now the dollar has crashed against the naira. Until we look at those empirical facts, it will be difficult for us to know the effect of the coming, not second coming, the coming of the president. But let me give my own opinion. My opinion is that we should be very careful. While it is good for a leader to be strong, it is also not good to drive fear into everyone. You see, because the message I'm getting is that the president is ready to launch an offensive against the enemies of the state. But there are times when you also have to use dialogue. That's why you see most leaders use what they call the carrot and stick approach. And that is what I would recommend. Don't let us eat up the politics.
Some of the developments during the week, the president, after his meeting with the security chiefs, were told he instructed them to go after people who are causing problems, the terrorists and the criminals, people who are threatening national unity, including people who are promoting hate speech. And I think that there was a statement from the military saying, well, people who are on social media, which was also something that was mentioned by the president, should beware. because the military will now be monitoring social media and that there will be sanctions for any form of hate speech on social media. Is it the duty of the military to monitor social media? Is this not an infringement on the freedom of expression? Wale?
Well, I think it could be, to an extent, some kind of infringement on our rights to free speech. But I also think the security could discreetly, with the kind of thing they do, see some of these things and then see which one is actually inciting or not, but not to the extent of clamping down on people. And I think that already has begun to generate stiff opposition from the civil society who are evidently against it. But that said, I still feel that the speech was needlessly arrogant and was full of fury and sound, signifying absolutely nothing. Those who think...
Those are very strong words. You are almost sounding...
Shakespearean.
You are almost describing... falling victim of your own description.
Those who share the view that it was their expectation, good luck. I think opinions are free. They have a right to their views too. But for me, that fell below standard, no doubt.
Yeah, but my point is that, look, we've even moved beyond the speech now. The president has done a number of things. The meeting with the party leaders, the meeting with the governors, the meeting with the security chiefs. Do you find this reassuring?
I don't think so. I think it's just a facade to assume that in 1 week he's done this and then we have begun to see the results. I mean, there will be input and naturally there will be output and outcome. We have not even seen the output, let alone the outcome. So those who think, or those who are singing his praises because he's met with a few people, I don't know on what basis they are doing that. For me, there's no basis for that.
No, but I guess Nigerians are happy to see their president back, and he doesn't appear incapacitated, and he's been functioning. Contrary to all expectations, he has had a very busy week. What do you think?
Yes, we're all very happy that the president is back. I have spoken to a couple of people who have met with him since he's coming, and they've reassured us that he's actually very fine. It's not that anybody rushed him back to Abuja, and that he's looking very strong to be able to carry on with his routine and activities. But I will plead with him not to overstress and overstretch himself, because when you are recuperating, you still need to take some rest. We wouldn't want a situation where in the next few weeks they will tell us that he's not feeling well. We want him to be well. I mean, the problems of Nigeria right now are so gargantuan that we need all the strength.
Well, since the president's return, the Arewa Youth Forum, which had given an ultimatum to Igbos in the north to leave the north by October 1, they seem to have changed. The members seem to have changed their mind. They now say, well, northerners can remain in the, easterners can remain in the north. And the Niger Delta agitators, who also gave an ultimatum to both northerners and Yorubas to leave the Niger Delta, with the OPC, Odua People's Congress, saying, well, there will be consequences if the people are forced out of the place. The Niger Delta agitators have now said, well, they will hold a meeting either yesterday or on Sunday today, then take take another decision. Do you see any connection between this lowering of the rhetoric of hate and the president's return?
I don't think so. I think it will be unfair to leaders of thought who had intervened on this matter since the notice was initially given by the Arewa youth to assume that this is related to the president's return or the talking tough that dominated his speech. I don't think so. I think it's just the climax of the various interventions that we've had with respect to the nation's unity and then the roles played by these leaders.
Yeah, but in spite of this, a man like Nnamdi Kanu is back in the news, the leader of the Indigenous Peoples Organization of Biafra. The Ministry of Justice has written a letter to the court asking the court to revoke his bail because literally the letter says he has violated all the conditions of bail. Do you see anything irregular in this? Because some Igbo groups have responded, saying that, look, Nnamdi Kanu's matter and that of his associates is political rather than legal.
Well, for me, I think we should be very careful. The issue of Nnamdi Kanu has become so volatile. And I think we shouldn't make the same mistake we made initially when he was arrested. I think rather than getting him to calm down, that actually re-energized him. If for whatever reason now you return him to prison, I think that might get his followers very angry, and that will keep our security forces very busy. And I'm not sure that even the military can assure us at this moment that they can take on too many fights on too many fronts. I would rather that we engage all these agitators in dialogue, just like President Umaru Musa Yar'Adua did in his time, what led to the grand amnesty, and that solved a lot of problems.
No, but if you look at the facts of the case, Nnamdi Kanu was arrested and detained and charged to court for alleged treason, along with some other persons. Now, the conditions of bail state, for example, that he should not grant press interviews. He should not be in the assembly of more than 10 persons. He should not travel around and all of that. And he should not give public lectures or speeches. But he seemed to have been doing all of this, including setting up a Biafra security service.
Dr. Abati, what is the job of a rebel leader? That is his job. But there are other rebel factions in Nigeria who have been talking tough and causing disaffection among our people, and they have not been arrested. Talk less of being charged. He has been arrested, he has been charged, and he has been granted bail. But there are people who are threatening to kill fellow Nigerians, and nothing has been done. Nobody has done anything to them.
I agree that he may have been going out of line, for some time now, but I don't think it's beyond dialogue for now. I think it's something that they should still engage in.
Well, let me take us back, in the light of all of this, to something the president said earlier, when he said Nigeria's unity is settled and not negotiable. Is Nigeria's unity settled? Is it not negotiable?
Personally, I think I am one of those who believe that Nigeria will be better and stronger if we're together. But it's not something that you can force. There will always be people, and even California, the state of California in the United States, threatened to leave the United States of America. It happens everywhere. And if eventually we're not open to dialogue and things fall apart and the country is no longer at ease, then trust me, that anything can happen.
When the president said unity was settled and non-negotiable, I was wondering who sat down with him to settle that and then agreed on non-negotiability of the unity. Like Bob said, that is my position too. I agree we are better off as one united Nigeria. Yes, that said, that unity is not settled. We must sit down to settle it. Not somebody putting or forcing it on every other person. It's impossible.
We're talking about national unity, peace, and stability. We seem to be having a resurgence of Boko Haram attacks. The last week alone, about 27 persons were killed in parts of Borno State. And there have been also other such stories. I thought that government said, the matter of Boko Haram had been nearly settled and that Boko Haram had been technically defeated.
Well, I spoke to a military strategist just yesterday, and he was able to educate me more about the issues of terrorism. There is no country, not America, not Spain, not in Iraq, not in Afghanistan, not in Pakistan, where they have been able to drive terrorism away completely. There is none. Every now and then in India, in Afghanistan, even when before Obama took power, he had boasted that would be one of his key areas, and he was going to take the military, the American forces away from Afghanistan, from Iraq. Till today they are there, they are fighting. As a matter of fact, President Trump, has just renegotiated, and last week he gave a speech about his plans in Afghanistan. There is no way you can kill terrorists because it's a war of attrition. It's a guerrilla warfare. It's not a conventional warfare where you bring a gun, I bring a gun, and we fight.
Uniform,
no.
Have traditional formations.
It is not as simple as that at all. And so it's not going to go away in a jiffy. And the earlier we know that, the better. I think people were playing politics with it by trying to sound like, yes, we've defeated Boko Haram. You know, in Nigeria, we are absolute about everything. We're not measured enough to say, hey, let's just say, okay, we have made progress, but don't say you have killed it. We have scorched the snake. We haven't killed it, like Shakespeare would put it.
But in addition to what Bob said, I think the government had released too much in propaganda, and that's why you have all these problems. Boko Haram had never really been, technically defeated. They've been there. That's the truth. They could retreat and then come back, but defeated. That's not true.
Well, I mean, we've dwelt a lot on this issue of, development since the president's return. I think maybe we'll look at some issues outside Nigeria, and maybe we should again start with something that the president said when he told Nigerians in diaspora that he has returned home and that they too should hurry up and come back home. I mean, this was in the lifetime.
Hopes they won't get stranded.
But in Angola, they've had an election, a general election, and one of Africa's dictators is going to step aside, hopefully, when the final results are announced in September. But in the meantime, Dos Santos has been president in Angola for about 38 years, practically dominated the place. It's also his party that has won, the MPLA, and his former Minister of Defense is likely to become the new president. Now, this looks like some piece of good news from that part of Africa, because one of the problems we've had is our African leaders sitting tight and behaving like they want to die in office. You know the story, Cameroon, Zimbabwe. What do you think of what has happened in Angola? Well,
it's good news, but at the same time, because his party will continue to control power, and one of his closest lieutenants will be stepping in, I think it's as good as he is still in power. But the only difference is that he will not be there physically himself. So let's see, because more often than not, when you install, your own lieutenants in power, they turn against you. So that might happen in the case of Angola.
Well, maybe not, but I think that the change is
yes.
No, definitely. I mean, we're happy that at least the strong man is going to take a rest and hopefully enjoy the rest of his life with his family, his grandchildren, and so on.
Probably hacking to the voice of reason to step aside. I think it's all right. And what came to my mind was if Gaddafi had done something similar, he probably would be alive today. So,
well, but isn't it the case that African leaders are not always held accountable by their people? Look at what is going on, for example, in Asia, particularly in South Korea. Since last year, the former President Park, was indicted. She's likely to go to trial. And some of our associates are also, having to face the wrath of the law. Only this week, last week, if I may say so, the heir apparent to the throne of the Samsung Chebor, has been sentenced to 5 years in prison for just donating money to a foundation connected with the former president, and the fear that he did that for political favors. Here in Nigeria, politicians donate money openly for political favors. Is there any lesson from South Korea?
There is a lot of lessons to be learned from all over the world. In fact, when I was watching the news, I told myself, oh wow, will this ever happen in Africa? The Samsung family is probably the strongest family in South Korea, and yet, they can take them on and say, no, this is against the law of our land. In Nigeria, there are too many untouchables. And I think that is part of our problem. There are too many big men who can do and undo and get away with murder.
Well, I think that's part of the reasons why we need to build strong institutions and not individuals. Ultimately, when I saw the news, you know, my natural reaction was that of, this isn't an oddity, you know, because it was something that was off my expectation completely. But I think a lot to learn from this, a lot actually.
Well, we'll take a short break, and when we return, we'll look at some other issues across the world.